The year was 2157, and Captain Jake Martinez stood on the bridge of the research ship Horizon's Edge, watching the stars through the main window. The ship had been traveling for 3 months, exploring the outer edges of known space. Jake had been a space captain for 15 years, but he had never seen anything like what appeared on his screens that morning. Commander Lisa Brooks walked up to him, holding a data pad. Her face looked worried. "Captain, we're getting a transmission. It's not from Earth, and it's not from any human ship." Jake turned around. "What kind of transmission?" "It's complex. Multiple languages, but our computers are translating it. The signal is incredibly strong, coming from everywhere at once." Lisa handed him the data pad. "Sir, I think we're about to make first contact." Jake looked at the pad. The message was simple but shocking. It read, "Greetings, humans of the species designation Earth Sol 3. You are commanded to stop all expansion beyond your current solar system. This message comes from the Zephyrian Collective, representing 12 advanced species of this galaxy. Commanded?" Jake raised an eyebrow. "They're giving us orders?" Lisa nodded. "There's more, Captain." Jake continued reading. The message explained that the Zephyrian Collective had been watching humanity for the past 50 years. They had seen human wars, environmental destruction, and what they called aggressive expansion tendencies. The aliens had decided that humans were too dangerous to be allowed to spread across the galaxy. The restrictions were harsh. No human ships could travel beyond Pluto's orbit. No human colonies could be built on other worlds. No mining operations could happen outside Earth's solar system. All contact with alien species had to go through Zephyrian approval first. "They've set up some kind of barrier," Lisa said. "A quantum field around our entire solar system. Our long-range sensors can't penetrate it, and our ships can't get through." Jake stared at the message. "They built a wall around us?" "It seems that way, sir." Jake walked to the communication station. "Open a channel to Earth. Priority 1. Get me President Sullivan." 20 minutes later, President Kate Sullivan appeared on the main screen. She was in the White House Situation Room, surrounded by advisors. Her expression was grim. "Captain Martinez, we've received the same message here on Earth. Every human settlement, every ship, every station got it at the same time." She paused. "We're calling an emergency session of the Global Space Council. I need you to return to Earth immediately." "Yes, ma'am." "But President Sullivan, with respect, this feels like a challenge." Kate Sullivan almost smiled. "Captain, that's exactly what I was thinking." 3 days later, Jake stood in the Global Space Council chambers in Geneva. The room was packed with military leaders, scientists, and politicians from every nation on Earth. President Sullivan sat at the head of the table, with Admiral Nick Patterson to her right and Dr. Amy Foster, the head of alien research, to her left. Admiral Patterson was speaking. "The barrier is real. We've tested it from every angle. It's some kind of energy field that stops our ships cold. We can't break through with any weapons we have." Dr. Foster leaned forward. "But we've been studying the technology for the past 72 hours. It's incredibly advanced, but it follows physical laws we understand. There might be a way around it." President Sullivan looked around the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, let me be clear about something. These aliens think they can put humanity in a cage. They think they can tell us where we can and cannot go. They're wrong." Murmurs of agreement filled the room. "They've made one critical mistake," she continued. "They don't understand humans. When someone tells us we can't do something, what do? We do it anyway," Admiral Patterson said with a grin. Dr. Foster nodded. "The Zephyrians have clearly studied our history, but they've misunderstood it. Yes, we've had wars. Yes, we've made mistakes. But we've also shown an incredible ability to overcome impossible challenges." Jake stood up. "Ma'am, if I may." The Message said they've been watching us for 50 years. That means they saw us go from barely reaching the moon to establishing colonies on Mars and mining asteroids. They saw us develop faster than light travel in just 30 years. Maybe that's what really scares them. President Sullivan smiled. Exactly, Captain. They're not trying to protect the galaxy from us. They're trying to protect their position as the dominant power. Admiral Patterson pulled up a star map. We've identified several Zephyrian monitoring stations just outside the barrier. If we're going to respond to this, we need to understand their technology better. Dr. Foster added, we've been working with the captured alien materials from the Tau SETI incident 5 years ago. There are similarities in the technology. We might be able to find weaknesses. President Sullivan stood up. Here's what we're going to do. This is now humanity's top priority. Every resource, every brilliant mind, every innovative idea we have goes toward one goal: breaking this barrier and showing these aliens that humanity doesn't accept cages. The room erupted in applause. Jake felt a surge of pride. This was humanity at its best. Faced with an impossible challenge, they didn't back down. They got to work. Dr. Foster, I want your best scientists working around the clock. Admiral Patterson, prepare our fleets for whatever comes next. And everyone else, remember this moment. The day aliens tried to restrict humanity. As the meeting broke up, Jake found himself standing next to Admiral Patterson near the window overlooking Lake Geneva. Admiral, what do you really think our chances are? Patterson looked out at the lake, then back at Jake. Captain, I've seen humans do incredible things when someone tells them they can't. We've gone from horse-drawn carriages to starships in less than 200 years. We've survived ice ages, plagues, and 2 world wars. Jake nodded. But this is different. This is aliens with technology far beyond ours. Patterson smiled. Captain, let me tell you something I learned in my 40 years of service. When someone underestimates human stubbornness and creativity, they usually regret it. That evening, Jake sent a message back to the Zephyrian Collective. It was short and to the point. Message received and understood. Here is humanity's response. We respectfully decline your restrictions. You clearly don't know humans very well. Someone get me a beer. This is going to be interesting. The message was broadcast across all human settlements and ships. Within hours, it became a rallying cry. Humanity had been challenged, and they had accepted. 6 months had passed since the Zephyrian ultimatum, and the mood on Earth had changed completely. What started as shock and anger had transformed into focused determination. Dr. Amy Foster walked through the secret research facility built inside Mount McKinley, Alaska. The facility was humanity's best-kept secret, housing over 3,000 scientists working around the clock. Dr. Foster, we've made another breakthrough, called Ryan Clark, a young physicist who had been working 18-hour days since the project began. His eyes were red from exhaustion, but his voice carried excitement. Amy hurried over to Ryan's workstation. The room was filled with holographic displays showing complex mathematical equations and 3D models of alien technology. What did you find? Ryan pointed to a spinning model on his screen. The quantum barrier operates on a specific frequency pattern. It's like a musical note, but in quantum physics. If we can create the opposite frequency, we can cancel it out. Like noise-canceling headphones, but for space barriers? Exactly. Ryan pulled up another display. But here's the really interesting part. The barrier isn't just keeping us in. It's also keeping other things out. The Zephyrians are using it for defense too. Amy frowned. Defense against what? We don't know yet, but the energy pattern suggests they're very worried about something. Across the facility, engineer Megan Torres was working with a team of technicians on captured Zephyrian technology. The aliens had left behind several pieces of equipment during their monitoring missions, and Megan's job was to figure out how they worked. Hand me that scanner, Megan said to her assistant, Pete Wilson. She was examining a small device that looked like a crystal wrapped in metal wires. Any luck with it? Pete asked. More than luck. This thing is incredible. It's a communication device, but it also serves as a computer, a weapon, and a tool all at once. The problem is, it's controlled by artificial intelligence. Megan had discovered something important. The Zephyrian technology relied heavily on AI networks that made decisions faster than any biological mind could think. But human computer scientists had developed something the aliens didn't expect. Quantum computers that could think in ways even advanced AI couldn't predict. Meanwhile, at the Luna City military base on the moon's dark side, Admiral Nick Patterson was overseeing the most ambitious construction project in human history. The facility was hidden from Earth and completely shielded from alien detection. Captain Bell, what's the status on the Freedom's call? Admiral Patterson asked as he walked through the massive construction bay. Captain Dana Bell looked up from her data pad. She's 78% complete, sir. The colonization ship will be ready in 2 months. 50,000 volunteers are already in training. The Freedom's call was enormous, nearly 2 miles long, and designed to carry an entire human city to the stars. Captain Ben Rodriguez, the ship's designated commander, was working with settlement coordinator Claire Watson to prepare for humanity's first major interstellar colony. Admiral, we've also completed the modifications to the Defiance, Captain Bell continued. Commander Alex Turner's military vessel is ready for combat operations. Admiral Patterson nodded. The Defiance was humanity's answer to Zephyrian military technology. It was smaller than the Freedom's call, but packed with weapons and defensive systems that Megan Torres had developed from studying alien equipment. Back on Earth, President Kate Sullivan was meeting with world leaders in a secure bunker beneath the Pentagon. The meeting was so secret that even most government officials didn't know it was happening. The plan is simple, President Sullivan explained to the assembled leaders. We call it Operation Breakout. We disable their barrier, launch 3 ships simultaneously to 3 different star systems, and establish permanent human presence beyond our solar system before they can react. The Brazilian president, Carlos Mendoza, leaned forward. What if they retaliate against Earth? That's why we're not just running away, Admiral Patterson replied via video link from Luna City. We're also going to make it clear that attacking Earth would be a mistake. Captain Sam Mitchell's exploration ship, the Pioneer, will be mapping new territories for human expansion. But Commander Turner's Defiance will be heading straight for their nearest military outpost. The room fell silent. They all understood what this meant. Humanity was not just breaking free. They were going on the offensive. Dr. Amy Foster's voice came through the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, we've also made contact with someone unexpected. There's another alien species that's been trying to communicate with us in secret. Everyone in the room sat up straighter. What kind of aliens? Asked the Japanese Prime Minister. They call themselves the Corvani. Our translator, Helen Price, has been working with their signals for 3 weeks. They've been oppressed by the Zephyrian Collective for centuries. They want to help us. President Sullivan smiled. It seems we're not the only ones who don't like being told what to do. 2 weeks later, Jake Martinez stood on the bridge of his new ship, the Liberty. He had been promoted to admiral and given command of the operations flagship. The Liberty was positioned just inside the quantum barrier, ready to coordinate the attack. Admiral, all teams report ready, Commander Lisa Brooks said from her position at the communications station. Dr. Clark, are your frequency generators online? Jake asked. All systems green, Admiral. We're ready to bring down their wall. Jake looked around the bridge. Every person there knew they were about to make history. They were either going to free humanity from alien restrictions, or they were going to start a war they might not win. Lieutenant Garcia, Are you in their computer systems? Jake asked. Tony Garcia, humanity's best computer hacker, looked up from his screens. His fingers had been dancing across holographic keyboards for hours, infiltrating Zephyrian networks. I'm inside. Their communication grid, Admiral. When their barrier falls, they're going to be blind and deaf for at least 10 minutes. Jake took a deep breath. All ships, this is Admiral Martinez. 6 months ago, aliens tried to put humanity in a cage. Today, we show them why that was impossible. Operation Breakout begins now. The quantum barrier began to flicker and fade as human technology attacked it from 12 different points simultaneously. For the first time in 6 months, the stars beyond the solar system became visible to human sensors. Barrier is down, Ryan Clark shouted. All ships are clear to launch. Jake watched as 3 ships shot past the Liberty toward the stars. Humanity was free again, and this time, they weren't going to let anyone put them back in a cage. The quantum barrier didn't just fall. It exploded in a brilliant flash of light that could be seen from Mars. Dr. Ryan Clark watched his instruments as the alien wall collapsed completely, sending shock waves through space that destroyed 3 Zephyrian monitoring stations instantly. Barrier destruction complete. Ryan shouted from his station aboard the Liberty. All frequencies are clear. Admiral Jake Martinez felt a surge of pride as he watched the 3 human ships race toward the stars. The Freedom's Call massive and gleaming, headed toward the Kepler 442 system, carrying 50,000 colonists. The military vessel Defiance shot toward Alpha Centauri like a bullet, ready to face whatever Zephyrian forces waited there. The exploration ship Pioneer disappeared into uncharted space, beginning humanity's expansion into the unknown. Lieutenant Garcia, what's the status on their communications? Jake asked. Tony Garcia's fingers flew across his keyboard screens. Their entire network is in chaos, Admiral. I've got access to their military channels, and they're completely confused. They didn't expect the barrier to fail so catastrophically. Jake smiled. That's because they underestimated human stubbornness. Aboard the Freedom's Call, Captain Ben Rodriguez stood in the ship's command center, watching Earth shrink behind them. Settlement Coordinator Claire Watson stood beside him, looking at the list of colonists on her datapad. 50,000 people. Claire said quietly. Families, scientists, engineers, farmers. They all volunteered to leave Earth forever. They volunteered for freedom, Ben replied. That's what humans do. In the colonist quarters, the Johnson family was settling into their new home. Mike Johnson held his young daughter while his wife Sarah looked out the window at the stars rushing past. They had sold everything they owned on Earth for a chance to build a new life on an alien world. Dad, are we really going to live on another planet? Their 8-year-old daughter asked. Mike smiled. We're going to help build humanity's first city among the stars, sweetheart. Meanwhile, the Zephyrian response was swift but confused. Fleet Commander Zephtile, a tall alien with silver skin and 4 arms, stood in his command ship's war room. His species had controlled this part of the galaxy for over 1,000 years, and no one had ever challenged them successfully. How did they destroy the quantum barrier? Zephtile demanded from his tactical officer, Unknown Commander. Our monitoring stations detected frequency attacks from multiple points, but the technology should have been impossible for them to develop. Zephtile's eyes narrowed. Send the 2nd Fleet to intercept their colony ship. Send the 3rd Fleet to Alpha Centauri to destroy their military vessel. I want these humans stopped before they can establish any permanent presence. But Lieutenant Tony Garcia was listening to every word. Admiral Martinez, I've got their battle plans. They're sending fleets to intercept our ships. Jake nodded. Relay the information to our captains. Let's see how they handle human military tactics. In the Alpha Centauri system, Commander Alex. Turner received the warning just as Zephyrian ships appeared on his sensors. The Defiance was outnumbered 10-1, but Alex had something the aliens didn't expect: Megan Torres's adaptive camouflage system. "Engage stealth mode," Alex ordered. "Let's give them a lesson in human warfare." The Defiance vanished from Zephyrian sensors, appearing to have been destroyed. But the ship was still there, invisible and moving silently through space. When the alien fleet spread out to search for debris, Alex struck. "Fire all weapons," he commanded. The Defiance appeared suddenly behind the lead Zephyrian ship and fired a barrage of plasma cannons. The alien vessel, caught completely off guard, exploded in a ball of fire. Before the other ships could react, the Defiance vanished again. Impossible. The Zephyrian fleet captain transmitted. They were destroyed. But Captain Dana Bell's squadron was already moving into position. 6 human fighters, also equipped with stealth technology, attacked the confused alien fleet from all sides. The Zephyrians had never faced an enemy that could appear and disappear at will in deep space. Captain Sam Mitchell's Pioneer made an incredible discovery. His ship had traveled further from Earth than any human had ever gone, and his sensors detected something amazing: ancient ruins on a dead planet. "Dr. Green, you need to see this," Sam called to his chief archaeologist. Paul Green looked at the sensor readings and gasped. "Sam, these structures are millions of years old. This was once a massive city, bigger than anything on Earth." "But look at the destruction patterns," added Kelly Adams, Paul's graduate student assistant. "This wasn't natural disaster. This was war." The ruins told a story. An ancient civilization had once controlled this part of the galaxy, but something had destroyed them completely. The energy weapon signatures were similar to Zephyrian technology, but far more advanced. "Captain," Paul said quietly, "I think the Zephyrians destroyed the previous galactic civilization. They're not the original rulers here, they're conquerors." Back in the solar system, President Kate Sullivan was in the White House Situation Room, watching the space battles on multiple screens. The images showed human ships fighting alien vessels across 3 different star systems simultaneously. "Ma'am, we're getting a transmission," said her communication officer. "It's from an unknown source." The screen flickered and a new alien face appeared. This creature had blue skin and large, gentle eyes. When it spoke, the voice was soft and hopeful. "Greetings, humans. I am Ambassador Corvanidal of the Corvani people. We have been watching your battle with great interest. The Zephyrians have oppressed our species for 800 years. Today, you have given us hope." Helen Price, humanity's lead translator, stepped forward. "Ambassador, we're honored to meet you. Can you help us understand what we're really fighting? The Zephyrians call themselves the Guardians of Galactic Order, but they are tyrants. They have destroyed dozens of species who refuse to submit to their control. You humans are the first to successfully resist them." President Sullivan leaned forward. "How many other species would join us if they had the chance? At least 6 species are ready to declare independence if you can prove the Zephyrians can be defeated." Suddenly, alerts began flashing across all the screens. The Zephyrian command network, which Tony Garcia had been monitoring, exploded with activity. "What's happening?" President Sullivan asked. Tony Garcia looked up from his station with a huge grin. "Ma'am, I just shut down their entire military command system. Every Zephyrian ship in the galaxy just lost contact with their headquarters. Without their advanced AI coordination, the rigid Zephyrian military fell apart. Their ships, designed to work together as a perfect unit, became isolated and confused. Human forces, trained to think independently and adapt quickly, pressed their advantage. In the Alpha Centauri system, Commander Alex Turner's Defiance led a devastating attack against the now helpless Zephyrian fleet. In the Kepler system, Captain Ben Rodriguez's Freedom's Call reached the planet safely and began establishing humanity's first interstellar colony. Jake Martinez watched the battle reports with satisfaction. "Open a channel to the Zephyrian High Council," he ordered. When the alien leaders appeared on screen, Jake could see fear in their eyes for the first time. "Zephyrian High Council, this is Admiral Martinez of the human fleet. Your barrier is down. Your fleets are defeated, and your command network is destroyed. Here's our new proposal. We talk as equals, or we continue this war until you learn to respect human determination." The galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy was in chaos. News of humanity's victory spread faster than anyone expected, carried by alien communication networks that Lieutenant Tony Garcia had turned into humanity's information highway. On 6 different worlds, alien species declared independence from the Zephyrian Collective within 24 hours. Admiral Jake Martinez stood in the command center of the Liberty, watching reports flood in from across the galaxy. "Commander Brooks, what's our status?" Lisa Brooks looked up from her screens. "Admiral, it's incredible. The Corvani have taken control of 3 star systems. The Vorthan species just destroyed their Zephyrian monitoring stations. Even species we've never heard of are joining the rebellion." But Jake knew the Zephyrians wouldn't give up easily. Fleet Commander Zeftal had regrouped his remaining forces and was launching desperate counterattacks wherever he could. The aliens were using increasingly dangerous weapons as they realized their empire was falling apart. On Kepler 442b, settlement. Coordinator Claire Watson crouched behind a rock formation as Zephyrian plasma blasts lit up the sky above the human colony. The aliens had found their new settlement and were trying to destroy it before it could become permanent. "Maria, keep the children in the shelters," Claire shouted to Maria Garcia, who had become the colony's emergency coordinator. The Garcia family had been among the first to volunteer for the colony, and now Maria's teenage children were helping defend their new home. Mike Johnson crawled over to Claire's position, carrying a human-made plasma rifle. "Claire, we've got Zephyrian ground troops landing on the south side of the colony, maybe 50 of them." 50? Claire almost laughed. "They really don't understand humans, do they?" The human colonists weren't just scientists and farmers. Many of them were former military personnel who had volunteered for the dangerous mission. When the Zephyrian troops expected to find helpless civilians, they instead found organized resistance. Sarah Johnson, Mike's wife, coordinated the colony's defenses from the communication center. "All units, the aliens are using standard military formations. Hit them from unexpected angles." The Zephyrians advanced in perfect lines, just as their military training demanded. The humans attacked from trees, from underground tunnels, and from rooftops. Within an hour, the alien ground force was completely defeated. Meanwhile, in deep space, Captain Sam Mitchell was making discoveries that would change everything. Dr. Paul Green and his team had been studying the ancient ruins for weeks, and what they found was terrifying. "Captain, you need to see this," Paul called from the archaeological site on the dead planet's surface. Kelly Adams stood beside him, holding a device that was translating ancient writings carved into stone. "What did you find?" Sam asked as he joined them. Kelly pointed to the carved symbols. "This civilization called them the Devourers. They weren't from this galaxy originally. They came from somewhere else and consumed everything in their path." Paul nodded grimly. "According to these records, the Devourers destroyed hundreds of species across multiple galaxies. This ancient civilization tried to fight them and lost. But here's the important part," Kelly continued. "The Zephyrians didn't defeat the Devourers. The Devourers left voluntarily after consuming most of the galaxy's resources. The Zephyrians just took control of what was left." Sam felt a chill run down his spine. "Are you saying the Devourers might come back?" "The ancient texts suggest they return to galaxies they've already consumed, looking for new resources that have grown since their last visit. Based on the timeline, they're overdue for a return. Back in the Alpha Centauri system, Commander Alex Turner was leading a combined human and alien fleet against the largest Zephyrian stronghold in the region. The battle had been going on for 3 days, and both sides were exhausted. "Commander, we're getting a transmission from the Zephyrian base," reported his communication officer. The face that appeared on screen was Fleet Commander Zeftile, but he looked different. The arrogant confidence was gone, replaced by something that looked almost like desperation. "Human Commander, I request a temporary ceasefire. We need to discuss something of vital importance to both our species." Alex frowned. "You want to surrender?" "No. I want to warn you about something far more dangerous than our conflict." An hour later, Alex found himself in an unprecedented situation, sitting across a table from his alien enemy in a neutral space station. Zeftal had brought only a small guard, and Alex had done the same. "Commander Turner, my species has controlled this galaxy for 1,000 years, Zeftal began. "But we were not the original rulers. We took control after the previous civilization was destroyed." "We know about the ancient civilization," Alex replied. "We found their ruins." Zeftal eyes widened. "Then you know about the Devourers? We're starting to learn. The Devourers consume entire galaxies. They strip mine planets, harvest energy from stars, and turn living beings into fuel for their machines. The only reason this galaxy still exists is because they haven't returned yet." Alex leaned forward. "Yet? Our scientists calculate they will return within the next 5 years. When they do, every species in this galaxy will face extinction. Human, Zephyrian, Corvani, all of us." Meanwhile, Dr. Amy Foster was working frantically in her laboratory on Earth. The alien technology captured during the recent battles had revealed something disturbing. She called President Kate Sullivan immediately. "Ma'am, I've been analyzing Zephyrian technology, and I've found something you need to know about." President Sullivan appeared on the communication screen. "What is it, Doctor?" "Foster, the quantum barrier they built around our solar system wasn't just to keep us in. It was part of a galaxy-wide defense network. They've been preparing for something big. The Devourers?" "How did you know?" President Sullivan sighed. "We're getting reports from multiple sources. It seems like everyone in the galaxy has been keeping this secret." Dr. Amy Foster pulled up a holographic display. "Ma'am, based on the technology patterns I'm seeing, the Zephyrians have been building defenses for centuries. But their approach is all wrong." "What do you mean?" "They're trying to hide from the Devourers to make the galaxy look empty and worthless. But that won't work forever. We need a different approach." "Such as?" "We fight them." President Sullivan almost smiled. "Dr. Foster, that sounds very human." The next day, an unprecedented event occurred. Admiral Jake Martinez received a formal communication from Fleet Commander Zeftal, proposing an alliance between humans and Zephyrians to face the coming threat. Jake read the message aloud to his senior staff. "The Zephyrian Collective formally requests a temporary alliance with humanity and all allied species to prepare for the return of the Devourers. We offer our full technological resources and military support." Commander Lisa Brooks shook her head. "Admiral, can we trust them?" "Probably not completely," Jake replied. "But if this Devourer threat is real, we might not have a choice." Lieutenant Tony Garcia looked up from his computer screens. "Admiral, I've been monitoring communications across the galaxy. Every major species is talking about the same thing. The Devourers are coming, and no one thinks they can survive alone." Jake made his decision. "Open a channel to Earth, to the Corvani homeworld, and to Zeftol's flagship. It's time for the first Galactic Alliance meeting in 1,000 years." As the various species began to communicate, one thing became clear: humanity's refusal to accept restrictions had accidentally united the galaxy against a threat that could destroy them all. The real war was just beginning. 1 year after breaking the quantum barrier, the galaxy looked completely different. The Zephyrian Collective was gone, replaced by something never seen before, the Galactic Cooperation Council. President Kate Sullivan sat at a curved table with leaders from 7 different species, including Fleet Commander Zeftail, who had become an unlikely ally. The defense network is almost complete, Admiral Jake Martinez reported to the council. He stood before a massive holographic display showing the galaxy. Thousands of dots represented ships, space stations, and weapon platforms built by the combined species. Every major star system now has early warning sensors and defensive capabilities. Ambassador Corvinadal, representing the blue-skinned Corvani people, leaned forward. Admiral Martinez, what about the deep space monitoring stations? Captain Sam Mitchell's exploration fleet has established 50 monitoring posts beyond the galaxy's edge. Jake replied, "If the Devourers return, we'll know about it months before they arrive." But Jake knew the real change wasn't in the technology. It was in how the different species worked together. The human approach to problem-solving had infected the entire alliance. Instead of rigid hierarchy and careful planning, the galaxy now buzzed with crazy experiments and bold ideas. On Kepler 442b, the human colony had grown into something amazing. Settlement Coordinator Claire Watson walked through the city center, watching human children play with young aliens from 3 different species. The Johnson family's farm now fed thousands of residents, both human and alien. "Claire, the new district is ready for occupancy," said Maria Garcia, who had been elected as the colony's first mayor. Her teenage children had grown up speaking both human languages and alien dialects. "How many residents total now?" Claire asked. 200,000, representing 8 different species. The waiting list to live here is over 1 million. The colony had become a symbol of what cooperation could achieve. Human engineering had solved the planet's water problems, while alien agriculture techniques had made the soil incredibly fertile. Together, they had built something neither species could have created alone. Dr. Amy Foster stood in her new laboratory on Luna Station, working alongside Zeftal's former chief scientist, a tall alien named Tech Leader Veltar. They were combining human creativity with Zephyrian precision to develop weapons that could actually hurt the Devourers. "Dr. Foster, the quantum torpedo design is complete," Veltar said in his careful English. "But I must admit, I do not understand how you developed this approach." Amy smiled. "We humans have a saying, if something seems impossible, try doing it anyway and see what happens. This philosophy is very disturbing to my species," Veltar replied, "but also very effective." The quantum torpedoes were just one example of human-alien cooperation producing impossible results. Engineer Megan Torres had worked with alien scientists to develop ships that could travel across the galaxy in weeks, instead of years. Dr. Paul Green's archaeological discoveries had revealed ancient weapons that the combined alliance was now rebuilding and improving. The biggest success was communication. Lieutenant Tony Garcia had created a galaxy-wide internet that connected every species instantly. For the first time in galactic history, ordinary citizens from different worlds could talk to each other directly, but Jake Martinez knew the real test was coming. The deep space sensors had detected something at the galaxy's edge, massive ships moving toward them at incredible speed. The Devourers were returning. "Admiral, we're getting reports from Monitoring Station 7. Commander Lisa Brooks announced from her position on the bridge of Jake's new flagship, the Galactic Unity. The ship was a masterpiece of combined technology, crewed by humans and aliens working side by side." "What do they see?" Jake asked. "Ships, Admiral. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. They're still 6 months away, but they're definitely heading here." Jake nodded. He had been expecting this moment. For months, signal all fleet commanders. Operation Final Stand begins now. Across the galaxy, the response was immediate. On Earth, Admiral Nick Patterson launched the human fleet. In the Alpha Centauri system, Commander Alex Turner led a combined human Corvani task force. Even in the Outer Rim territories, species that had never worked together before moved into defensive positions. Devourers were exactly what the ancient records had described: massive, dark ships that seemed to absorb light instead of reflecting it. When they entered the galaxy, they immediately began consuming everything in their path. Entire asteroids disappeared into their machines. Small moons were strip-mined in hours, but this time they faced organized resistance. All units, this is Admiral Martinez. Jake broadcast to the thousands of ships defending the galaxy. The Devourers think they're returning to an empty feeding ground. Let's show them how wrong they are. The first battle took place at the galaxy's outer edge. Captain Dana Bell led a squadron of fast attack ships against the Devourer advance scouts. The human tactics of hit-and-run attacks confused the ancient machines, which had been designed to fight the organized formations of the previous galactic civilization. "They're adapting slower than we expected," Dana reported after her third successful attack. "Their AI systems are incredibly advanced, but they're not used to opponents who change tactics constantly." This became the key to the Alliance's strategy. While the Devourers had overwhelming firepower and advanced technology, they couldn't adapt quickly to the chaotic, innovative approach that humans had taught their allies. The final battle took place near the Galactic Center, where the Devourer main fleet met the combined Alliance forces. Admiral Jake Martinez commanded from the Galactic Unity, with Fleet Commander Zeph Tull serving as his tactical advisor. "Admiral, they're breaking through our left flank," Zeph Tull reported. "Captain Mitchell, take your exploration fleet and hit them from behind," Jake ordered. "Use those crazy maneuvers you developed." The battle lasted for 3 days. The Alliance lost many ships, but their flexibility and willingness to try impossible tactics gradually wore down the ancient enemy. When Dr. Amy Foster's quantum torpedoes proved effective against Devourer armor, the tide turned decisively. In the end, the Devourers retreated, damaged and confused by an enemy unlike anything they had faced before. As their ships disappeared into deep space, Jake received a message from their leader. "This galaxy has changed," the Devourer message said. "You have made it indigestible. We will seek easier prey elsewhere." 6 months later, Jake Martinez stood in a bar on Luna Station, surrounded by friends from a dozen different species. He raised a bottle of Earth beer and a toast. "A year and a half ago, aliens tried to restrict humanity to our solar system. They thought we were too dangerous to be allowed among the stars." He grinned. "They were right about the dangerous part, but they made one mistake." "What's that?" asked Zeph Tull, who was learning to appreciate human humor. "They forgot that sometimes. Dangerous is exactly what the galaxy needs." The celebration lasted until dawn, with humans and aliens sharing stories, jokes, and dreams of what they would build together among the stars. Earth was no longer isolated behind a barrier. It was the heart of a galactic civilization based on cooperation, innovation, and the human refusal to accept impossible odds. The age of restrictions was over. The age of limitless possibilities had begun.